I'm live, I think. I don't know. I can't tell. It's hard to tell these days. Oh, I am live. Welcome to my live. So, I was originally going to be teaching this class hands-on at my salon May 11th. But with everything that's going on, everything that's happening, I didn't want to cancel it, but I needed to push it back. So I had an idea. Instead of canceling it or pushing it back, why don't I just do it online? I've seen and been inspired by a lot of different artists right now that are doing a bunch of lives and educating. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm really excited to have y'all on today. This is my sister. She has been begging me to highlight her hair. The last time it was highlighted was probably 6 months ago. So, yeah, I'm just gonna jump right in because I wanna be quick with this for y'all. She has an undercut, so we're gonna be leaving that part out. And right now I have 2 sections and they're V'd out because of how her undercut falls, essentially. So, what I'm gonna do is first explain developers. When I do a full, if I start down here in the very bottom area, I'm gonna start with 10. I'm gonna start with the low developer because 1, that's where I'm starting, 2 of her natural level, and 3, just so I can make sure that we all process evenly. But because she does not have her entire occipital area, then I'm gonna start with 20 through this top area, and then I will carry 20 into her little front halo pieces that I will explain later why those are there. Other side so you can see. These are her halo pieces, and these are what we like to call the money pieces. These will also be hit with 20. And then I will actually start with her bigger section. At this point, I'll be using 25. And then we only mix a small amount because I need to only do 25 here so I can jump up to 30 here. Okay? Sweet. All right, well, I'm glad that y'all are here. I'm sure everyone has been bored out of their mind. And I also thought this was a great opportunity just to entertain y'all and give me something to do and stop listening to my sister complain that she wants highlights. So, you know, we all win. We all win. All right. I'm going to do my best to stay out of the way. And there will be times when I have the camera come up a bit closer so y'all can see what I'm doing. Right now, I'm just going to go into explaining her sectioning. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and bring, in just a quick second, we're going to bring the camera just a bit closer so you can see the size of the section that I'm taking. I'm at a diagonal because of the undercut. I'll pump that up so y'all can see. Okay, y'all see? Let me go ahead and straighten this up just a bit. And we are just gonna dive right in. So this is probably about a 1/4 inch section. And what I'm gonna do is I create a weave within the depth of the slice. So what's gonna happen if I do it correctly is when I lift it up, you're gonna see a zigzag within the sectioning, if I do it correctly. Okay, so I'm looking for a zigzag. You'll see that zigzag? It's a little wonky because of her undercut, but you can see the zigzag pattern. Okay. This is what I'm gonna foil, and then this is what I'm gonna leave out. My goal is to get this class done in an hour, so I'm gonna have to move quickly. If y'all have questions, please just drop them in and then we'll go back through and answer them. All right. In this back section, I'm not worried about getting it all the way to the scalp. One, it doesn't need to be because it's in the back area. I'd rather just feather that up and leave more of like a natural grow out in that back. And I'll be saturating all the way down to where her previous blonde is, but I will not be overlapping the blonde. Okay. So with this being a bigger slice, I don't want to go through and close it up because it's going to have a line where it doesn't actually process as well. So I'm going to double it up, seal the bottom, seal the sides, and then I'm going to bring the next section down. And I'm not going to leave a space in between. I'm just going to go immediately into another slice. We should put some like soft, quiet music in the background. Yeah. I don't even know how to do that. I'll have to wait until my husband gets here. Okay, going in, weaving. I'm looking for that zigzag. Let me see if I can grab it. Zigzag. What this does is creates a big area of blonding, but it's diffused, so it also keeps it really soft. And because I'm not going to the root, it's gonna leave us a natural, better grow out, and that's really my goal, especially for her. Because if I only have to highlight it every 6 months, that's a win in my book. She has naturally curly hair, so she can get away with going longer in between visits. But truthfully, it was time. So this section, I know it's hard to tell on the video, but it's actually not as thick as that last one. So because it's a thinner section, I'm gonna go through and just fold it over. If it's a really big piece, I overlay with another foil. If it's a thinner piece, then I'll fold it up. And I'm just gonna continue up. Again, keeping probably about like 1/4 inch sections. Weaving only in the depth of that section. My foil comb isn't actually coming out of that. So maybe the next one that we do, we'll get a close up on that.
Okay.
I actually do this technique a lot when I'm doing like a foliage technique. Ooh, I'm getting wrapped up in her hair. It's trying to curl on me.
My hair?
Yeah. So again, feathering it up to the root, saturating it down, bringing it to her old blonde pieces, or her previously blonded areas. Again, this one is a little on the thicker side. Because I'm going in and creating or doing like diagonals, you're not going to get the exact same thickness throughout. One, especially because of her undercut, but we're kind of getting up past that now. Okay, so double it up, fold it tight. Tilt for me. Going in and creating these diagonal pieces are going to actually create more of like ribbon pieces in the back anyway. So one, I'm doing that because I have to because of her undercut, but it's actually going to create a really pretty foil pattern in her hair. When you go in as a diagonal, you create slices. We'll get the next one. Yeah, diagonals create ribbons. Horizontal creates depth. So when I'm going in here or diagonal like this, This is just going to create really soft, pretty pieces of blonde, which actually, again, work really well for people with textured hair. Sometimes with textured hair, you got to put more in there just because our curls don't show as much color as like straight hair does. So again, just heavily saturating, feathering to the root, dropping down to her ends. I think this will be the first class that I've taught that I haven't answered questions as it happened. So I'm just gonna keep talking, which is not that hard for me to do. All right, but you also see how you can move through this fairly quickly. I'm almost done with this side section. Yeah, let's go ahead and get close. So my comb is not going through the depth of this section. It's staying within it. And then it's gonna create that zigzag pattern. And that again just creates a lot of depth, but it diffuses out. So it would be like taking a slice, but if you put a slice in the hair, it's not pretty, it looks unnatural. When you take this bottom piece out and diffuse that out, you're allowed to create a big piece of depth there when you wouldn't normally be able to without doing a bunch of work. When I see as many people as I do in a day, I need to figure out ways to foil or do a foil technique where I'm kind of getting more work done by doing less, right? Like I got to get it done in an hour. So how can I successfully create the most amount of lift in the most natural way? And a lot of that has come from just trial and error too. I mean, I've been behind the chair for 10 years now. It's a long time. It's a long time to try something. Okay, so this will be my last piece. Same thing. And really, if you think of it, the movement should be like a baby light. You're just trying to make like very small movements in the depth of it. And I hope that like helps. We're all improvising at this point. Look down just a bit. So notice how I'm still just feathering it up. I'm not trying to get anything to the scalp with her just yet. Okay, I'm gonna move to the other side. This will be interesting, so I make sure that I don't block y'all. Let's see. As of right now, I'm gonna go ahead and move. Woohoo! I didn't technically check for lighting this way, but that's fine. We'll make it work. I'm gonna move this over here. Okay, but I'm blocking the light, so I'm gonna move this real quick. There we go. Got it. Teamwork. All right. Same thing from side to side. What you do on one side, you want to make sure you do on the other. This is a thicker piece again from the undercut. Even though I'm feathering it in, I'm still pushing that foil to the root, so that way I can make sure that it's an even blend throughout. I'm not taking it to the root, but I'm treating it like I would. Not overlapping, doubling up. right, same thing. But once you get the flow of it, again, you can do this pretty quickly. I like to use these wider brushes too when I'm working in the back. I don't really see a lot of sense in using like a tiny brush when you're working through a big section, but I see people do it all the time. I'm like, truthfully, you're just wasting time trying to have this tiny brush to go through this big section. Okay, again, that was a pretty big piece. All right. Moving along. Yeah, I had a whole like boot camp thing that I was doing, and then frickin' Corona came in, wiped that out. It's just crazy. Crazy. I will say it's given me the time to do a lot of stuff for my business. I never thought I would be in my living room doing a class, which is kind of cool actually. I might just do all of them like this. This is way easier. Again, just I like to work neatly. That's why I like to section all of my clients' hair out before I actually get started on them. It's actually a pet peeve of mine to just get started. I feel like I can't structure and organize and go through my sections the way I need to if it's not put together beforehand. I always say it's like building a house with no walls. Like, it's just, you're just gonna fall apart, especially when someone has a lot of hair. Like you, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
A lot of hair.
Do you want me to cut it all off?
No. Can't you tell that we're related? You're how old?
17.
17. Ugh. Makes me feel old.
Not that old.
I'm not that old. Thank you. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. You're here all day.
Unfortunately.
Oh, fresh out.
She walks out right now.
Yeah.
I would be screwed actually if you did.
You gotta eat.
I actually thought about doing like how I color my own hair class, but I was like, no. Then everyone's just gonna be like, oh, Carrie showed me how to do it. I'm gonna do it myself.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I know. Although I do have red hair now. I don't know if you noticed. That's weird. I think I actually.
What?
Thanks. Yeah, I like seeing all the stuff people are doing to their hair. Like my friend Heather Page Langford, she did like a massive change on her hair, and it looks so good. So if you're listening, I love your hair.
At least you'll come out of quarantine with a new look.
Yeah. By the time I get out of quarantine, my hair will be blonde again, just because of how long it's gonna be. I feel like I've only washed it twice, and it's already like way lighter. All right, guys. So again, I'm taking those slices, I'm feathering it up, and I'm leaving out the ends. And you see the consistency of the lightener. You want it to be a little bit more on the runnier side. Not runnier, but you don't want it thick for a lot of reasons. One, it can dry out. Two, it's harder to work with, so that's gonna make you work a lot slower. And again, we don't want to do anything that makes us move slower, especially when we're going through and doing a full highlight like this. So same thing, guys. Baby light within that section. Notice how much I leave out. Hardly any's left out. You see how much I'm foiling. Whole bunch. That's one of the things I noticed in my boot camp program is so many people would come in and they're not foiling enough. And I'm like, guys, get that hair in that foil, man. You're gonna piss off a lot of blondes if you don't go through and lift that hair up. I mean, you need to take care of it. You need to be delicate with it, but you also need to get it lighter or they're not gonna like it and they're not gonna come back. I hear it all the time. They're just not getting me light enough. They just don't get me light enough. All right, my last piece. And then I'm gonna go up to the front. I'm gonna show y'all how I do the facial framing, which give those big money pieces, which blondes also really like. All right, the whole back section is done. You can see how they kind of crisscross into one another. That's because of her undercut, so that's the diagonals going that way, diagonals going that way, but you can also see how little is left out. Like she has a lot of hair, and that's not that much that's left out. Sweet. Okay. All right. We're gonna pump her up. And then we are going to get this a bit closer, up close and personal for the parts that matter. I'll move this out of my way. All right. So I have probably a good inch section of her hairline pulled out, okay? And I'm blocking my light, so pardon me just real quick, guys. Let me move the lighting. I rotate too much for this. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at her hairline. I'm looking how it falls, where I can divide it into two, because this doesn't need to be one full section because that's not going to fit the foil sizes that I have. And I like to create smaller, more detailed work than just trying to do a really wide section in the front. It's all about like the detail, especially up here. So I'm going to start with the first slice. And I'm just taking it off her natural part. I'm going to get real up into her hairline. All right. Okay. See what I'm leaving out versus what I'm foiling. Now, if I was trying to make her mega blonde, I would do both of those pieces, but we're not. I still want this to look really soft and natural on her. So the only difference, is, again, is if she was trying to be like crazy platinum, I would also be foiling those pieces. But again, she has curly hair and we want to keep it as natural looking as possible. Now that I'm going into a thinner section, I'm using a thinner brush. I feel like that also gives me more control, which control is very important when you're foiling these front pieces. So again, you see how I'm not bringing it down to where she's already light. I'm going to move that completely out of the way. And here I'm going to do a double bend. Mostly because I want this to be very secure and I don't want there to be any movement. So now I'm going to go into the next framing piece and notice how you can make them overlap. So this one comes to this point and this one overlaps. So what that's doing is creating no area or no gap in between or a dark spot. And I'm pinching her hair pretty tight. When you're doing these front pieces, it's very important to keep control. And the best way you're going to have control of these hairline pieces is just by really gripping them in there. I like to really secure these in.
By pressing on my eyeball.
Yep, I use the client's face all the time. I got to, man. We use everything we can. Get you all as blonde as we can. So again, not overlapping. And we'll seal it up. All right. Into the next piece. Okay. I think I'm going a little delusional having to be inside all the time. It's most unpleasant. Oh, I'm not blocking. No, I'm not blocking. We're good. Get that down. A trick that I like to do is over direct back, put the foil directly onto the line where I weaved, and then over direct back tight, and then lock it in. And use her face. But see how I'm feathering up? I'm not like trying to get it crazy to the root. But just hitting it on those darker pieces, not overlapping. Get out of my way. All right. And I just kind of work through this section until I'm done with this little inch slice. Kind of call it like a half halo, essentially. And I'll do full halos on people that, well, one, don't have it undercut, and two, people that wear their hair up a lot. I'll do another inch section just like this in the back. So notice how the other one I feathered, and this one I'm going all the way to the root. That's a nice way to give them like highs and lows even through the grow out process.
Kristen says hi.
Okay. Is she watching?
Yes.
Oh, that's cute. Okay. Then I'm gonna drop all the way around to the other side. I like to get my front sides done first in the front, so I just move from side to side. All right. And then same thing, I'm gonna split it down the middle so I can have more control over the section. Okay. All right. My little sister Kristen is watching. She goes to a high school. I'm not saying where, but she wants to be a cosmetology student. So I keep telling her, I'm like, you don't know how good you have it, sweetie. But no, I'm super excited for her. All right, taking that slice, getting the weave all the way up. Hope I'm not blocking the camera. I'm sorry if I am.
You're not.
Fantastic. Not overlapping. If we need to turn, just let me know. Oop, drop something. Out of frame for a second. All right. Well, can't pull that like that though. So the previous one, I went all the way to the root. So this one I'm just feathering, but I'm still making sure not to overlap the blonde and then just get the darker spots. She has more hair on this side, so it's just bigger pieces. There's just more hair. Through here, I would say these are more of traditional weaves. Same thing. The last girl that highlighted you was Julia, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah, she did a good job. For it being, you know, this long.
It was
Yeah.
shorter than yours
Oh,
when
yeah, it
she
was.
did it.
All right. Can we make it either taller or her shorter? That way they can see the front or the top part of her head. We'll lower her down. Okay. Okay, look down for me. And do it like that. Everyone can see what's left out. You'll see that, what's left out. When I'm foiling, I almost feel like it's too bright so they can't see. It's hard to tell. We're amateurs here. Up just a little bit, perfect. Hold that. Hold it. No, no, like your face. Hold your face. What if there's like a cutoff time limit to Instagram lives?
I think it's like an hour.
Well, we gotta hurry then. Okay. Checking along here.
Yeah, it lasts for an hour.
Okay. We got an hour. That's actually kind of perfect. That's probably as much anyone wants to see anyways. And then we'll just come back on once we get you all rinsed out and toned. Might even do a cute little blowout on you.
I mean, like straighten it.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. We'll see. So I like to bounce back and forth between like traditional weaves and then baby lights. So the last one was more of a traditional weave. So this one is going to be a baby light. When you go back and forth between feathered and to the root, you create a softer grow out. Even being so like small like that, it really does diffuse their line when it grows out. I mean, everyone asks me all the time how I get my blondes to last so long and how I only foil them every like, I don't know, maybe 10 to 14 weeks. Well, a lot of that is because how I foil. Even if I'm doing a blonde and she wants to be crazy mega blonde, like I'm still gonna create depth throughout, and that way it does grow out better. She's still gonna feel really blonde, but she's also gonna notice that she doesn't have to be in as soon. I mean, that's typically the number one thing that clients say is, well, I don't have to get my hair done as often. And it's just the foiling technique that I do. When I started in the industry 10 years ago, foiling was literally everything. No one did balayage, no one did any, balayage was not a thing. And if you did do a version of balayage, you did it with foils and color at the same time. But So everything was just foil work. And so it's really what I started to learn on. It's what my first 2 years behind the chair, it's all I did. I worked in a salon by TCU, which is a local college around here. And it was nothing but girls wanting to be blonde, wanting to be blonde, all day, every day. I used to joke I could do a full foil blindfolded, like full foil and a long layer haircut, blindfolded. Like, it's all I did. It was my bread and butter. All right. I'm down to the top 2 sections. I'm gonna show y'all, get a little bit of close up. We'll see how this works. All right, down to these 2 sections. You can see how I have framed her hairline all the way across. Very nice. This actually works out, except for I can't see what I'm doing now. And I'm going to, pardon me. Hi guys, hi. How are y'all? Hope you're enjoying it. Hope it's fun. As fun for you as it is for me. Okay. Now I'm on to her smaller section. And I'm gonna work from the bottom up. 1, I work faster. And 2, I work faster. I don't know, I like it. It's how I like to foil. All right, up a little bit. Now, right here, everyone needs to be hearing. Are you listening? Right now. These 2 sections, right here to here. Oh, can't see what I'm saying. Un momento, there we go. Here and here. If your client looks down, look down for me. That shifts the foils. You wanna know why you get bleed marks on the side of your client's hair? It's because they're looking down. Clients, if you're listening, if you don't want bleed marks, don't look down. I say it until I'm blue in the dang face. I'm gonna go on like a rant here, but keep your head straight when you're getting your hair done, and most importantly, in this area. Awesome, cool. Yep, we'll roll that around. Okay. Through here, I'm going in and taking a horizontal slice. You see my horizontal slice? And it's really all I can do because I just created a barrier for myself between the front and the back. So actually, I'm probably gonna keep it like that so y'all can see what I'm doing. Again, we're just maneuvering around. Okay. Now I'm just gonna be taking a traditional weave pattern and walking up the head.
Can I scoot up?
Yeah, I would love it actually. Perfect. You're almost too short for this.
I mean,
Almost.
yeah.
So remember what we talked about earlier? Now I am using 25 volume. Notice how lightener's just magically appearing? It's crazy how that happens. But we are now at 25. Okay, I'm gonna lock it in. Now I am gonna have to start moving a little bit quicker. And I'm keeping all of my slices horizontal. Now, the same thing that I was doing throughout the top where I talk about doing like a weave and then feather it and then like a traditional weave and it's to the scalp. Same concept here. This was more of like a baby light. It was a little bit of a thicker slice. Tilt your head for me. So I am gonna feather it up instead of taking it all the way to the root. I'm still getting the depth of this dark area down through here. Sealing it up. So anyways, what I was saying, yeah. Started doing hair and it was all highlights, all blondes. And I learned a lot because there's a lot of mistakes in color theory to learn when making people blonde. I wasn't just like keeping people blonde, I was making people blonde. And then keeping them blonde and then getting them healthy. But That's why foil's my favorite, man. I love it. I love the control of it. I love that I can create a balayage look with foil. I love that I can create any type of blonde look with foil. I love it. I also like control, and foil gives me that control. I admire the hell out, this is thick. Oops, sorry, I cussed, my bad. I said I wasn't gonna do that. This is a thicker slice. So because this is a thicker slice, I'm gonna go ahead and do a double foil. But yeah, man, I admire the hell out of all y'all. Damn, I did it again. All you balayage people, y'all are amazing. I'm not saying that I can't do it, you know, but like, I can. But man, foil work, I love it. But that's a talent, balayage, for sure.
I'm loving these comments. I'm loving the comments.
Oh God. All right, so the last one was feathered, so this one's closer. Feathered up when it's a bigger piece, closer up, maybe when it's a smaller piece. Make a variation of it. Just don't do the same thing over and over in every slice, in every piece, in every section. That is not how you create like beauty in blondes. That's how you just run through the same foil pattern over and over. Ooh, that's what we could talk about. Foil patterns, or why I choose a certain pattern over another. So again, earlier, like we talked about with the diagonal slices, I love putting diagonal slices in textured hair. I love putting diagonal slices in a foliage. I love doing horizontal pieces when I'm trying to get the depth of color lighter. You know, when I talked earlier about sectioning, it's really important because going through and sectioning appropriately, that's how I know where I want the color to lay, or the lightener to lay, or the blonde to lay after. And that's why I say I don't like to just go in and hope for the best. If I go through and section them out into, say, like a mohawk parting, I love doing a mohawk parting when afterward I'm going to do the tightest root smudge. Because what a mohawk parting does whenever they split their hair, it's going to create the most beautiful uniformed line of highlights all the way through. And then you root tap that and root smudge that. That's how you see those like root smudges with highlights underneath. That's how you create that. So if I'm wanting that type of look, I'm gonna split it down the center. If I want a really natural look, I'm gonna split it down to how they part it. I'm also gonna split it down the center if they are the blonde that likes to flip their hair a bunch, which I'm guilty of when my hair's straight. So if you flip your hair a whole bunch, then doing it down the center helps a lot for that as well. I actually want to show y'all a quick technique, because why not? So I have this piece. I do this a lot when I'm doing like a foliage, okay? I create like a balayage look with the way that I weave. So I'm gonna take a thick piece. You see that thick piece? And then I'm gonna do tiny baby lights in between. And then I'm gonna do a gap, and I'm gonna do another big piece. So that's creating big piece, diffused line in between, big piece. Just creates depth. And if I was going through and doing like a foliage, I would probably V the lightener. So I would go through and like V it out and then not bring this up as high. That's a technique that I like to do when I'm having to go through and almost do like a foliage color correction, which I end up doing a lot of foliage color corrections. Again, I'm always trying to take like new patterns, new slices, new techniques to figure out how to work smarter, not harder. And again, I think that's part of a lot of my success is I'm not afraid to try something new, and I learn from my mistakes. And those are two like key things. Is one, learn, and color theory. Dear Lord, color theory. I mean, the best thing I ever did for my career was joining the Sebastian Wella team. I got so much education from them, and it was truly a blessing to be a part of something like that. I actually have a really big announcement. I could announce it on live video. I haven't thought about doing that, but I could. I don't know. Let me get to the other side and we'll see. I know. Leave me alone. Now I completely forgot what I was saying. I do this all the time.
You were talking about
So.
Sebastian.
Haha, yes. Thank you, Caitlin. So, yeah, being on the Wella team was such a blessing. It was unfortunately not something that I could continue to do with my lifestyle, and I mean, it was just a lot of traveling for me at the time. But man, I learned so much from them, and I came back after that experience so much more of like a balanced hairdresser and also a confident hairdresser. It's really hard to like stand up here and just talk. Like y'all should have heard me before I started this live video. I was yelling in my house. I was making all these noises. I was smacking my hands. Like guys, it's no joke. I hate doing this stuff so much, but I don't hate it as much as I don't want to be successful. Does that make sense? Is that a way to say it?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I push myself to do things that I don't want to do, like putting myself in front of a camera or forcing myself to teach a class where I don't get feedback. I just have to talk forever. Okay. All right. We're working our way up to the top. Thin little bitty slice out just because that was a bigger piece. I'm going to go for more of the traditional weave here. I'd like y'all to see that. I feel like y'all can't see through her hair. Is that better or worse? You know, who knows? It's fine. We'll figure it out. Just write it in the comments, better or worse. See why people do backdrops sometimes when they do this, you know? I'll have to do that on my next one. I like to say that I wouldn't do this again, but that's such a lie. This is really cool.
I already said better.
Sweet. All right. Next foil piece, I will put my hand. Everyone should comment what you've been doing to like keep yourself sane so I can go back through these and have something to laugh at when I'm watching. I've been doing a lot of yoga, you know. I've been trying to. My husband's been lovingly forcing me, which has been great. All right. Let's see if this helps. Mm-hmm. Y'all see that? Cool. All right. I kind of wish I had those black foils now so I could at least, maybe once I get it on there. And then just make sure this is really saturated. So one thing I preach the most is saturation. Saturation and not overlapping. That's how I have healthy blondes and blondes, because I saturate the heck out of them and I don't oversaturate them. All right. We're gonna jump up in developer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we're gonna work to this side, and I'll probably, let's see, that's good for y'all. So see again how I've kind of created that section for myself with doing the pre-sectioning. I mean, it's exactly how I had it in the picture before. If y'all saw the picture that I posted. you need to mix up like a whole new batch, yeah, you can do it that way. That's fine. I'll use that until. All right. Maybe this will also help. We're gonna try this too, guys. We're all in this together, you know. I appreciate people that have been on it for the entire time. I hope I haven't bored you. Okay. Feather up. I'm seeing my sister text my other sister. Alright.
Kristen wants to know why.
Nope. Alright. So when I get done, I will be toning her. I like to use Wella CT, especially on her, and especially with more like textured hair. I feel like it keeps it really nice and bright and it doesn't deepen it too much. So I will most likely use 1001 and 916 on her. One being ash, 6 being violet, and then the 01, 0 being like neutral, and 1 being ash. If I wanted to make her icy, I would have added like some 7-stroke 8-9 in there to make it icy, but I typically don't do that as like an even mix. I always like to use a lower toner, because when you lower the level, you increase the intensity. So like a 7-8-9 would always be stronger than like a 9-8-9 or whatever. So I like to use it as almost like a specialty color or like a specialty mix. So I posted an icy one the other day, and I believe my formula was that. I think I did the 1001, the 916, and then the 786. And it was really beautiful. It just gives it that pop of more of that icy. And that's one thing that I hear a lot of people say is when they, again, anyone that's been in my boot camp program, a lot of them are kind of shocked how I tone, like how I mix in different tones and how I bring in lower levels. Even if I'll bring in a lower level for like flash toning for a quick area that needs to catch up with everything else. I mean, toning is actually one of my favorites. Just because that's like where you really get to see everything come together. I also tell a lot of people that the lightener is just like your rough draft and the toner is your final copy. So I'm rough drafting her right now, and if I need to make any modifications or alter anything or adjust, then I'm going to do that in the toning process, and then that's essentially my like final copy. And then, like I said, if this cuts out in an hour, it cuts out in an hour. I'll keep working, but we'll come back on after I get her processed and toned, and I'll let y'all see all of the after. Not exactly sure how much time that will be, but I'll post along in my highlights, kind of like the process of it after that, I guess. All right, so now we're up to 30 volume. That way I can get everything to kind of catch up, right? If we can maybe bring the camera behind me now. If it can go higher and maybe even over my shoulder, I think that would give them a good like view of my weaving. I use a YS Park comb. I get asked that a lot, mostly because I bend the heck out of my combs from how aggressively I foil sometimes. And so I need a comb that's going to withstand me, essentially. Same thing with my foils. Everyone always asks me why I use the Fermar pop-ups. Because they're thicker and I don't tear them. I'm heavy-handed. So the YS Park comb is my absolute favorite. And then, I don't know where y'all are. This is the like extended comb.
That's all it goes.
Oh, that's all?
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. I mean, you can still, they can still kind of see. You can lower it. I think that was an okay view. But what I can do is maybe move this out of the way, and then we
Get
can just bring it closer.
Perfect.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. We're almost done.
Yeah.
So normally a full highlight can take me about 45 minutes. A full baby light could take me about maybe an hour and a half. And then the other day when I did that like really, really big color correction, so it was a platinum card, the platinum card took me 2 hours to apply. It's another commonly thing I get asked. But I book at the salon. They have me booking at the hour or on the hour. Honestly, it helps a lot. Like, I'll book on the hour every hour, and then I don't book out haircuts. So when you look at my books and say I start at 9 and I end at 4, all you're gonna see are color appointments from 9 to 4, and they're completely stacked. I run one assistant a day, sometimes 2, or there'll be a boot camp girl that just comes in and shadows but ends up helping. I used to book on the 30, but that was madness and I don't want to do that anymore. I mean, it was fun, I guess, but yeah, that was kind of madness. I'll lower her down. I'm gonna have you tilt your head a little bit toward me. Fantastic. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. Whoop, too much. There we go. Find the sweet spot. All right. Mm-hmm. Take that away. Again, just feathering it up. Oh man, I'm ready to be back in the salon. This is nuts. I am a worker. I am not a stay-at-homer. It's fine if you are. I am just not. My kids are always home. They're always around. Is this the thing where people can do like hearts and stuff? You know? Totally heart if you're tired of seeing your kids. I would heart it right now if I could.
Yeah.
No, I love them. It's just, my goodness. This is crazy. Okay. Moving along. So I guess my next class will be in September, and I always do a foliage class in September.